Your girl wants to sleep with this serial killer, and science may even have a reason for why. So, if your girl is talking about Luigi Mangione a bit too much, you might have a problem. Sounds crazy, right? But it's not just him. Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and even the Night Stalker. Women have been thirsting over murderers for decades, and there even might be a scientific reason why. So what is it? The danger? The rebellion? Or the fantasy of being able to fix them? Well, whatever it is, it's real enough to turn a convicted murderer into a sex symbol. And especially after news has broke on Luigi's personal sex tapes being found. His dark appeal has hit an all-time high. For those of you that don't know, Luigi Mangione shocked the world when he shot the CEO of United Healthcare point blank in New York. In a country where more people die from lack of health insurance than murder, it's no surprise that public outrage is often directed at companies just like United, that drain your life savings for policies that will still find ways to deny you coverage. So, when Luigi pulled the trigger on the CEO of America's biggest health insurance company, he wasn't seen as any ordinary killer. He was seen as a symbol. To millions, he instantly became a modern-day Robin Hood, an underdog that struck back against the system. But, as you could guess, not all the attention he got was for his so-called heroic acts. Almost overnight, Luigi became an internet sex icon. Women around the world were in protest with the fact that this poor modern-day Robin Hood, who, remember, was actually a convicted murderer, might face consequences for his crimes. They romanticized his violence, calling him misunderstood, with thousands sharing their fantasies of jumping right into bed with him. But at what point does this cross the line? Is this fantasy of murderers just another internet trend? Or is there something deeper and more psychological at play? Luigi wasn't the first to spark this type of obsession. We've seen it time and time again. Ted Bundy had women flocking to his trial, while Richard Ramirez received tons of love letters in prison, and Jeffrey Dahmer had aisles of women ready to marry him, regardless of the horrifying things that he's done. So that brings up the question, why are people, especially women, so drawn to violent criminals? Well, believe it or not, there's actually a scientific term for it, and it's called Hybristophilia. So, Hybristophilia is basically an attraction to those that commit serious, violent crimes, just like all the murderers we mentioned. So, if you're like me and you're wondering how the world could be thirsting over a cold-blooded killer, here are 3 psychological theories on how this phenomenon actually works. The first theory is power and dominance. Some people find assertiveness, danger, and even cruelty exciting. It's the idea that someone so feared by the world could be obsessed and infatuated with you, and you only. I guess the idea of that would make you feel special. The second theory is the classic "I can fix him" theory.
Stop the cap.
This complex is the belief that the love and understanding from the relationship can essentially tame the untamable. It's not just being completely naive, though. It's more so a deep psychological need for validation. Take Twilight, for instance. It's literally the story of a soft girl infatuated with trying to tame a monster. The third theory is that this is just evolutionary psychology. Psychologists have gone back and forth on this for ages, but here's a few key reasons for why this phenomenon happens. This theory suggests a subconscious attraction to strength, especially when it's shown as dangerous, because historically, strength has always meant survival, and there's some primal part of our brains that reacts to that, almost mistaking brutality for the ability to protect. Theories aside, you'd think that we'd hate monsters, right? But the truth is, our culture glorifies them. Hollywood has turned dozens of serial killers into celebrities. From Zac Efron playing Ted Bundy as if he was some mistaken heartthrob, to Netflix's Dahmer series, which had viewers thirsting over Evan, almost as if he wasn't playing a man that ate his victims. It doesn't just stop at the movies. Social media has turned thirsting into killers a whole new genre. We live in a time where murderers get fan edits on TikTok and even love letters sent to them in prison. And nobody would be a better example of this than Luigi Mangione. People were already fantasizing over Luigi from day one. But once news broke of his sex tapes being found, Twitter, Instagram, and every social media platform blew up with more people fantasizing over him than there already were. If you're like me and found it disturbing that the whole world was thirsting over this killer, posting pictures of dildos strapped to him so they could ride them,
Hey yo, what the?
Don't worry, you're not alone. There's just something about the forbidden that is irresistible. The more off-limits something is, the hotter it's perceived. And when it comes to criminals, that effect is cranked to the max. People need to realize that the world isn't falling for Luigi Mangione. They're falling for the idea of him, a dangerous, attractive, and mysterious man that they'll never get to meet. It's easy to project your fantasies onto someone you don't know, so in reality, he's just a killer sitting in a jail cell. But online, he's a dark, mysterious figure straight out of a romance novel. This is another phenomenon called parasocial attraction. It's falling for fantasy, the idea of it, instead of what it actually is. And social media only fuels this more. Everything from the edits to thirst tweets and the pure obsession. It's a cycle that never ends. Personally, I get the idea of fantasizing over what Luigi represents. But do the people online championing a serial killer know what they're really encouraging? What scares me is the flood of people online who want him free and not face any consequences for the murder. Because while I do think that insurance companies are the biggest mafias in the world, I don't think what Luigi did was right. He definitely has to face the consequences of killing another man. This incident did wake the world up to how predatory health insurance companies can be, and that is definitely a plus because something needs to change. But that being said, it still bothers me to see the extent to which people are supporting Luigi. Like, hey, I get fantasizing over a good-looking, dangerous man, but it is a bit concerning to see a huge chunk of the youth cheer on a serial killer. Let me know what your thoughts on this case are. Either ways, one thing is for certain. If your girl is talking about Luigi Mangione a bit too much, you might have a problem.